So Dr. Sleep had a lot of things on his to-do list, on his checklist, I should say. Number one, it's a direct sequel to a Stephen King adaptation book, The Shining. It's a adaptation of the book, Dr. Sleep, and it's a sequel to the 1980 film, The Shining. Does Mike Flanagan and his talented crew and cast bring together all those things in one movie? We're going to talk about that and much more. Dr. Sleep, written and directed by Mike Flanagan and stars Ewan McGregor, Rebecca Ferguson, Kyliegh Curran, and Kyliegh Curran. Years following the events of The Shining, a now adult Dan Torrance meets a young girl with similar powers as his and tries to protect her from a cult known as the True Knot, who prey on children with powers to remain immortal. Hey everybody, Elliot here to share with you all my thoughts on my early screening of Dr. Sleep. Consider subscribing to our channel if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that notification to be able to stay up to date with our content. And join the conversation in the comment section. If and when you see Dr. Sleep, I want to know what you all thought of this film. So getting into this review here, full disclosure. I have not read the book, The Shining, nor have I read the book, Dr. Sleep. I'm going into this film as a fan of the 1980 film, and then off of being very excited about Mike Flanagan in the directing chair, and then bringing the talent to the big screen like Rebecca Ferguson and Ewan McGregor. So starting this review off, as I had mentioned up top, Mike Flanagan had a lot on his plate. Number one, he's adapting a book, Dr. Sleep. He's making a sequel to the book, The Shining, and he's doing a sequel to the movie, the 1980 version of The Shining. So how did he do it? How did he handle it, I should say? Pretty damn well. He handles drama so well. 2013's Oculus is a great horror film, but a great family drama. 2017, Gerald's Game handles, how you grew up as a kid and how that affects you as an adult. He handles that stuff so well in this movie, in the use of flashbacks, of building the characters and giving them some backstory so you can get a better understanding of how they are in the present day. I thought that Mike Flanagan did a great job of doing so. The way he uses camera, the use of score in this film was phenomenal. And transitions, you don't get a lot of transitions or effective or noticeable transitions in films like you do in Mike Flanagan's work. Thought he did a great job there. Again, the way he handles the idea of battling your past demons and how that affects you today, and handling it head first is such a well-directed job by Mike Flanagan. I definitely put him up there in that James Wan pit, the Jordan Peels of the world, Ari Aster, Robert Eggers, Jennifer Kent, and those directors that just really know what they're doing, and they do a great job of doing so. So the directing side of everything was handled beautifully by Mike Flanagan, in my opinion. Transitions into the actual performances. We got Ewan McGregor as the adult version of Dan Torrance. We all know what we're going to get with Ewan McGregor in movies and TV. He's a great actor. He's a phenomenal actor, and he's nothing short of great in this film. He brings to the screen the backstory of Danny Torrance as a child and now as an adult, and seeing him kind of how he handles his past and having an addiction to certain substances, and how he kind of neglects certain things, and how he puts things in a box per se and keeps them to himself and not necessarily using his powers to his full advantage. I love the arc that we get with Dan Torrance in this film from the beginning of the movie all the way to the end. He has a really beautiful arc, and again, it doesn't go without notice by this great performance by Ewan McGregor. The supporting cast members in this film were great, like a Kyliegh Curran playing Billy Freeman. Some of the members of the True Knot, which we'll get into a little bit later, did a good job. And just overall, I thought that the people that had to to be the directors from the 1980 The Shining, and I won't say who's playing who or what the characters are, but I thought they did a good job of not imitating those people, but bringing their own type of flavor to that role. So I thought they were solid. But going into my standouts, Kyliegh Curran, who plays our young lady that has the powers, Abra, in this film, she is great in this movie. Like, she has such a great performance. She delivers on being this child that has these shining gifts, very powerful gifts. I thought that she handled those scenes really well. She brought the drama. She brought some spunk to her character, and she's involved in two of my favorite scenes in the movie. One of which involves kind of this dream sequence, and another one involving a truck. I thought she was great in this film. But without a doubt, one of my favorite actresses in Hollywood. And she sometimes isn't in the greatest films, but I always think she gives a good performance. And she gives a great performance in this movie. That's Rebecca Ferguson playing Rose the Head, the lead of True Knot. She plays the villain in this film, and she plays it perfectly. She does a great blend of being evil and very menacing, but also having some weaknesses to it. It doesn't make her like completely unbeatable, and have some human elements to this supernatural character in her group, which I'll touch a little bit on here, true not, without giving too much away. There's two standouts in that group that got the most screen time, and that's Snakebite and Crow Daddy. But overall, the group was really dark and disturbing. As far as the horror element, because I don't think this film is necessarily a straight up horror. It's not a really, they don't rely on jump scares or, all the different things that we might see in horror films. Again, this is a psychological thriller, but I thought that the horrific moments came from the true knot. And particularly, one particular scene is very disturbing, but I thought that group was very menacing, led by the great Rebecca Ferguson, who gives a really great performance. Without giving too much away of the story, without spoiling anything, I thought the first act definitely had a slower approach to the storytelling, because again, it's establishing these characters and where they've been and how they got to where they are in present day and going through their history. And by the second and third act, the movie really, really picks up. We get the A and B storyline finally come head to head, and that's Danny dealing with his stuff and Abra dealing with her powers, but all at the same time we're learning about this true knot group. So I thought that the A and B story really came together in that second, third act. So the story was really interesting, and I was on the ride for that 2.5 hour ride that we got there. So criticisms, negative comments that I had for the movie. As I had mentioned, the first act is definitely a slower burn, and at points it felt a little underwhelming, because it was very kind of just like, okay, when are we going to get into the meat of the story? I can tell that's where really at least from my impression of it was, the first half really touched on the book elements of the film, and you could tell that Mike Flanagan really wanted to bring those true character development moments, the character-driven moments, to see where they're at and how they get from A to B. I thought that first act did a good job, but it was, like I said, it was pretty slow-paced and kind of underwhelming. And it really, my entertainment factor in that first half came from the True Knot group. I would have liked to have, speaking of True Knot, I would have liked to have seen more from them and got a better understanding, which I imagine a book did that. And that's one of the things about Stephen King adaptations. It's really hard to adapt, a 1,200-page book into a 2.5 hour movie, which is a long runtime, but you don't get as much time with certain characters like True Knot. I really would have loved to have got more in story from them and a better understanding of their mythology and the supernatural element to them. And then my last criticism will definitely have to be that last act. I felt like, without spoiling anything, that Mike Flanagan really leaned heavily on the nods of the Shining movie and some iconic scenes from that movie, which I didn't think played that well in this particular film. Again, without getting too particular on certain bits, but it felt a little flat towards that third act for me personally. The emotional beats hit, but I just didn't like the certain directions in that third act. So finishing up my review here, overall thoughts. Again, I thought Mike Flanagan did a really great job of doing all those things I had mentioned at the up top, of directing a sequel, bringing a book to the big screen. I thought he handled all that pretty well. And I think as a fan of The Shining, I think you would appreciate this film like I did. And if you're a book reader, I haven't read the books, but I would imagine you'll be pretty happy as well. So I recommend you all checking out this film in the big screen when it comes out next week, I believe on the 8th. Again, don't go into this expecting this horror film with some creepy elements, but there's not a lot of ghosts like you get in The Shining. It's not a haunted house, not a haunted mansion. It's a psychological thriller with characters dealing with their past and their trauma and dealing with family history, things that make them who they are today. So go into the film, go into that with that mindset, and I think you'll have a good time. And again, it's about redemption and dealing with your past. So wrapping up this review as I lose my voice here, I'm giving this film a 4 out of 5. Highly recommend you check it out. And when you do, let me know what you thought of it. Like and share this video, subscribe to our channel, and make sure you hit that notification bell to stay up to date with our content. Again, let me know what you thought of this film. Check out our reviews that we have on our channel now that are movie related. Terminator Dark Fate, we got a review for that. Spoiler-free review there. In The Lighthouse, so check out those videos. And then coming soon, a lot of stuff coming up this week and this weekend, from Castle Rock, doing my recap of the latest episode. We got some movies on Netflix, as well as Apple Plus is coming to us on the 1st of this month. So definitely keep an eye out for those reviews, and we'll be back really shortly. Thank you for watching this review, and we'll see you in the next video.